Finally this week, the monster faced accountability. A jury found Harvey Weinstein guilty of rape and sexual abuse. In total, about 100 women have revealed their stories of Weinstein's sexual assault or harassment, and there's another trial to come in Los Angeles. But it's not just Weinstein who should be on trial. For decades, powerful figures in the media and entertainment industries chose to ignore or cover up his evil. Before the New York Times blew the cover off it all on October the 5th, 2017, investigative journalist Ronan Farrow had been working on his own expose of Harvey Weinstein that was meticulously researched and corroborated by several of Weinstein's victims. He was working on this for NBC News, but instead of airing what would later turn out to be a Pulitzer Prize-winning story, the network tried to prevent it from ever seeing the light of day. Thanks to Ronan Farrow's subsequent book, Catch and Kill, we now know that NBC News is run by people who actively worked to keep Harvey Weinstein's crimes a secret. This is the same network that did air this piece of corporate puffery. Tonight, I want to show you who they really are at NBC News, how its two leaders, Noah Oppenheim and Andy Lack, became apologists for and enablers of rape and sexual assault, and why they must now be fired. Tonight, we put them on trial in The People versus NBC News. Noah Oppenheim became a senior vice president at NBC News in 2015 and was given control of the Today Show around the same time that Ronan Farrow launched a regular investigative segment on the program. "This is who we are," says the NBC News tagline. Well, this is who Noah Oppenheim is. Here's what he wrote about women when he was at Harvard. Quote, "Women who felt threatened by the club's environment should seek tamer pastures. However, apparently women enjoy being confined, pumped full of alcohol and preyed upon." It's no surprise then that Noah Oppenheim was pals with Harvey Weinstein. They would sit together at industry dinners, exchange cute little gifts, stay in touch. They especially stayed in touch once Ronan Farrow began digging into Weinstein's horrific, decades-long history of violent sexual assaults. Thanks to many weeks of painstaking, sensitive work, Farrow had secured an interview with actress Rose McGowan, who was willing to go on camera and tell the world that Harvey Weinstein raped her in 1997. An incredible and important scoop for NBC News. So what did its boss, Noah Oppenheim, by now the president of NBC News, do? Unbelievably, he acted as Harvey Weinstein's lawyer. He literally tried to stop the interview from happening. He claimed that encouraging women to break their non-disclosure agreements could get the network sued. Instead of fighting back against Weinstein's notoriously aggressive lawyers who'd been silencing his victims for years, Noah Oppenheim joined Team Harvey. He told Farrow, quote, "If they're saying tortious interference, I've got to listen." When Farrow fought for his story, Oppenheim said, "We're just hitting pause while we wrap our arms around this," and ended by telling Farrow to stop investigating Weinstein. No more reporting for a little bit. That's the president of NBC News telling one of its own investigative reporters to stop reporting on a story about a serial sexual predator. But it gets worse. Farrow later dug into a 2015 case in which a model accused Weinstein of groping her. The day after it happened, she went to the police, who set her up with an undercover wire and sent her back to Weinstein to extract a confession. With incredible bravery, she did. And it worked. Weinstein admitted his assault on tape. Just listen to what Noah Oppenheim said after hearing about this new evidence. How serious is this stuff, really? By this point, he knew of multiple allegations of violent sexual assault against Weinstein. And he says it's not serious. I tell you what is serious. NBC News employing as its president Noah Oppenheim, a sick, misogynist apologist for rape. Yeah, that is who they are. After that exchange was published in Ronan Farrow's book, Oppenheim issued a classic non-denial denial. "I'd have to write my own book to refute all the ways Ronan willfully distorts our interactions." Astonishingly, despite all this, there is actually talk of promoting Oppenheim to replace another sleazy creep called Andy Lack. He's the chairman of NBC News and MSNBC and has himself been accused of being a sexual predator by multiple women. One said that Andy Lack pursued her unrelentingly and that, quote, "I didn't get flirted with, I got worked over." Harvey Weinstein himself used Andy Lack's history in his efforts to get NBC to kill Ronan Farrow's investigation. In one call between the two, detailed in Farrow's book, Weinstein said, "Did I go out with an assistant or two that I shouldn't have? Did I sleep with one or two of them? Sure, it was the 90s, Andy, we all did that." To which Lack reportedly responded, "Harvey, say no more. We'll look into it." Harvey, say no more. That is the chairman of NBC News, reassuring his pal, the rapist, that NBC News would cover up his rape. Which, of course, contributed to Harvey Weinstein's belief that he was untouchable, the belief that enabled him to brazenly continue his career of sexual violence, violence that was enabled by people like Andy Lack and Noah Oppenheim. Harvey Weinstein said as much. He reached out to other NBC executives as well as Lack and confidently told those around him that Ronan Farrow's investigation was dead. Let's take a look at some other NBC executives. This is Steve Burke, CEO of NBC Universal. A former member of Weinstein's staff said that Burke was, quote, "in Weinstein's pocket." This is Brian Roberts, CEO of Comcast, NBC's parent company. He described his friendship with Weinstein as a joy. In a past interview, when asked about Weinstein's reputation as a bully, Roberts said, "I don't personally get put off by all these Hollywoodisms. I think he's like a teddy bear." What? If you're a Comcast shareholder, how does it make you feel that the company's CEO thinks bullying is just a Hollywoodism and a rapist is a teddy bear? But NBC's complicity in Weinstein's crimes existed at every level. As part of the effort to block Ronan Farrow's investigation, NBC assigned a producer to vet Farrow's work. Guess what? That producer was himself a sexual harasser. NBC had to pay his victim a nearly seven-figure sum to buy her silence. After all this, Ronan Farrow was forced to take his reporting elsewhere, to The New Yorker. Weinstein was ecstatic when he heard. One Weinstein employee remembers him saying, quote, "If I can get a network to kill a story, how hard can a newspaper be?" Well, The New Yorker ignored Weinstein's bullying and published Ronan Farrow's story, which of course exposed NBC's cover-up. So, true to form, NBC News just lied and lied and lied and lied. Noah Oppenheim and the company's head of communications said that Farrow was a guy who really didn't have anything and that he never secured documentation and never persuaded any women to go on camera. When Oppenheim was asked if he had any contact with Weinstein, he said, "I don't travel in those circles." All of it a pack of lies from the people who run NBC News. So the question is, why? Why did NBC News go to such lengths to kill the Weinstein story? It wasn't just the personal connections with NBC executives. It turns out that NBC News was covering up not only Weinstein's crimes, but those of its very own violent sexual monster, right at the heart of its schedule. Matt Lauer, who had the unbelievable shamelessness to call Ronan Farrow to congratulate him on the publication of his story. While everyone now knows the sordid details of Lauer's depravity, the rape allegations, the sex toys gifted to underlings, the button under his desk to turn his office into a sex dungeon for women who were his prey, NBC claimed they didn't know until late 2017. That, too, is a lie. Ann Curry, Matt Lauer's Today Show co-host, told Ronan Farrow that the stories of Lauer harassing women were well known when she was there years before. And that's how it all connects. Ronan Farrow recounts how Harvey Weinstein threatened NBC with the publication of stories from Matt Lauer's victims if they published Farrow's work. It is all so sick and so disgusting. There's only one person at NBC News who emerges from this with any credit, and that is Rachel Maddow, who, to the fury of her bosses, invited Ronan Farrow on her show. Every decent person at NBC, every decent shareholder at Comcast, rise up against the darkness at the heart of your organization. Insist that those sick, sleazy misogynists, Noah Oppenheim and Andy Lack, Harvey Weinstein's apologists and enablers, are sent packing. As long as they stay, NBC News will bear the stain of rape and sexual violence. As long as they stay, that is who they are.